In my website, I have all my H1 headings centered with a margin of 3 and a margin top of 5. You can see that here, right here. My nav bar sits on the far right of the page, and that's due to justify content end. My content sits at the end of the flex box, hence end. Here's my hero image. I used image fluid to make the image span the length of the page. Here's my responsive grid. You can tell it's responsive because of the row columns 1 and row columns large 2. Both being there. Because when the screen is large, my columns will sit side by side, whereas for small screens, the items will stack on top of each other. And I can show that. So here they sit all side by side. And then, oh, that was the wrong page. So, right, yes. So columns large 3. So yeah, because it's 3 items in the flex box. So, and when I make it smaller, it stacks on top of each other. My cards also all have a height of 100 as defined by the H100 class. And so you see I have these for all the columns, I have them as column large. They're all column large, 1, 2, and 3, all 3 of my columns. And I originally had them as small, so I'm going to change them all to small and show why that didn't really work. So they're all really squished, as you can see, when the screen is smaller. So therefore, changed into large. And it still works when it's full screen. They sit side by side and they're the size is appropriate. But yeah, that was a change I made. If I go to this tab, Gata recipe, here I have nested my table on the left and some other text on the right explaining the recipe. Each column is sitting in its own div, and the container makes them sit next to each other. This is responsive, so when the screen is small, the column with the table sits on top of the other column, but on big screens, obviously, as like right here, they sit side by side. And I can evidence that right now. So yeah, sitting side by side or stacked on top of each other. And this is evidenced by having row columns 1. So when the screen is small, they will stack on top of each other and just be one column. And row columns large 2. So there will be, when it's large, there will be 2 full columns. And if I go to the about page, the columns on the about page work the same way as the last page we just looked at. And here's that page made smaller, and you can see they stack. And I also added a class selector for the paragraph, for this paragraph, to make the font size 20 pixels. Let's see. I just did that in CSS.